So, still Saturday 26th of November, still in Speyside, still working our way through in alphabetical order, although that will change in a couple of drams time. And this particular sample is still sealed, Drinks by the Dram sample, from the very excellent James Goggy of Maverick Drinks. Thank you very much, James. And this particular one is Linkwood. So Linkwood, as a distillery, is here. And it was actually founded in 1821 by a guy called Peter Brown. Now, 1821, technically speaking, it was illicit, because I'm sure it was 1824 when the law was passed to make distilling legal. And apparently the distillery was founded in 1821, but it didn't officially start distilling until 1825. So everything was hunky-dory. I find that very hard to believe, but we'll believe them. So Peter Brown actually ran it for quite a while. He died in 1868, still working at the distillery, still running it. And his son William took it over and did what most loving sons will do, demolish the distillery. It was almost like no, up yours, Dad. I'm doing it my way. So he demolished the distillery and just completely rebuilt it, which reopened in 1874. And it ticked along again for a few years. He was doing a pretty good job until it was taken over in 1902, basically because they were having financial troubles, and as a lot of distilleries were at that time, by a gentleman called Robert Innes Cameron, who had previously owned or was owning Benrinnes, Tamdhu and Chianinique. Benrinnes we've done, Tamdhu's on its way, Chianinique I think is also on its way as well. I can't remember if we've done that. They're just all blurring into one at the moment. So eventually he owned the distillery, but eventually sold it to, I think it was Scottish Malt Distillers in 1938. And then one of these companies, a bit like UDV, where it ends up becoming Diageo, and it's with Diageo now. However, before Diageo it came into their claws, in 1971 they actually built a second distillery in the grounds of Linkwood. And whereas, so we did Kinninvie a couple of nights ago, where that was a still house that was built basically in the grounds of Balvenie, but it's a separate distillery. They've called it Kinninvie, and it is launched as a completely separate malt whisky. Linkwood, the new distillery in 1971, was called Linkwood B. So it was Linkwood A and Linkwood B. They were still the same distillery. They were still being sold as Linkwood, but in the 70s, there was very little single malt being sold. It was all into blends, hence them needing to build the second distillery, because it was a key constituent of Johnnie Walker and White Horse. Massive brands, needed to make as much as possible as they could. So there was a Linkwood A and a Linkwood B. And so this is a bit like also Clynelish and Brora. So Clynelish was the original. I'm going to get myself confused here. Clynelish was the original. They opened Clynelish 2 over the road. The original became Brora, which then closed down, and the new one carried on running. But there was Clynelish and Brora, technically part of the same distillery, but two separate names. Linkwood was Linkwood A, Linkwood B, and as with the others, the original is always the one that falls to the wayside. So Linkwood A closed down in 1985. Now, it was mothballed. It didn't close down. They didn't knock the thing down, and it actually reopened in 1990. And it seems like they operate it for like a couple of months a year. So Linkwood B is Linkwood. This is the Linkwood that we'll be having. This is like the main distillery, which operates constantly through the year. But they bring Linkwood A back online, almost to kind of, right, we need to get some more going. It's a key part of the year. I don't know, end of the tax year, or Christ knows what they're doing. But they do bring it back online to keep up with the demand that's needed. So there was a semi-official bottling. It was part of the Flora and Fauna range, which was a 12-year-old. But as I say, most of it goes into Johnnie Walker and White Horse. So it's not the most prevalent single malt whisky you will ever find. This particular one is another one of the Boutiqu-ey whiskies, the Boutiqu-ey Whisky Company. Hence, James sending me some samples from them, because I think he's involved with their business as well. So this particular one looks like this. It's the Linkwood Batch 2. Batch 2? Yes. Now, they're actually on Batch 3 at the moment, and the Batch 3 is an age statement, whereas the Batch 2 isn't. And it's entirely possible that the bottle I've put up is actually the picture of the Batch 3, because that's the only one I could find. It is 54.7% volume, and we are looking at 135 bottles. Now, Master of Malt have got this as not available, but they've got the price on there at 115 quid. And this is also, they're selling it in 50cl bottles as well. So it's 135 50cl bottles that are available. So there's no age statement on it. So in terms of like what the age is, the Boutiqu-ey Whisky website itself isn't particularly forthcoming in terms of like what the rough age is or what the youngest one is, what cask used, anything like that. Not a bloody clue. You know, I really am pretty much in the dark of this. So that's basically all I've got on it, to be honest. That's all I could find out. That's all I could do. I've never had a Linkwood. I don't remember having a Linkwood. As I say, it's quite tricky to get hold of. I do have some water available because at 40, what we're looking at, 54.7, it might need some. But it's a pretty decent colour. And, you know, I'm going to be pretty confident that they're not adding colouring and they're not doing any filtration or anything like that on it. So that is a nice, healthy, you know, there's a touch of brown to this. So there's a slight ochre colour to it as well. But it's very, very rich umber colour. Oof. Bit of a kick on the nose, but you'd expect that at 55%. It's freshness to it though. There's a nice, very fresh mint. It's quite clean as well. There's a little bit of a spirity edge, but it's not unpleasant, certainly. That's nice, but it's a very clean, very pure mint. Very fresh, like extra strong mint. You know, like extra strong mint, and you sort of breathe in through your nose while you've got an extra strong mint in your mouth, and it proper clears your nose out, and your nose becomes almost like ice, and it's that sort of effect. It really is. There's a little bit of maltiness coming through on that sniff, but it's not a massively complex nose, but it's actually very nice because of its purity. Blimey. I was about to say, there's a lovely rich mouthfeel, but as I swallowed, it did the extra strong mint up the back of my nose and out the front, and it really cleared everything out. It's made my eyes water as well. But there's a lovely rich toffee character, real toffee as well, not like salted caramel. This is real proper handmade toffee. Really rich, really sugary, sweet toffee. And then all of a sudden, this fire from the alcohol just went right at the back of my nose, cleared everything out. Very pleasant, but I think I'm going to have to add water to this. I'm going to give it one more go, just to see if I can get a bit more of the flavour before the heat kicks in. Oh, swallowed correctly that time. Didn't go up my nose, it went down my throat. Yeah, real intense toffee. There is some mint in there. There is a mint toffee feel to it, which is actually really, really nice. I love that kind of stuff. It really is rich. There's quite even with the amount of heat from the alcohol, there's a lovely, rich mouthfeel to it. It's quite thick. It's quite a thick whiskey. I'm going to add some water to it because I think it definitely needs it. But I think if you like cask strength whiskies, you would probably get on with this quite well. If you prefer your whiskies with a bit of bite and a bit of backbone to it, I think this will definitely float your boat, because there is enough flavours in there to really kind of play with, as well as the kick and the fire from the alcohol percentage. But there's a lovely, like I say, it's a real kind of you're popping a square of like handmade, slightly softened toffee, and it just melts around your mouth. It's absolutely fantastic, but it's got that touch of mint as well. Now I'm hoping I've not put too much water in. It doesn't smell like I have actually, because it's the toffee maltiness is coming through now. There's a bit of Horlicks in there, so it's become much more of a malted drink character. The mintiness is slightly subdued, but it's still there and it still works very well. Oh, got the water bang on, and that's phenomenal. That's really good. It's turned slightly bourbony as well, but it's turned into the type of bourbon that I absolutely adore, which is the really fruity, rich, silky smooth. There's no fire. I've got the water balance spot on. And it might take a bit of work to get it to that point, but all of a sudden there is this, the toffee is still there, and it's not caramel, it's toffee. It is definitely toffee. But all of a sudden this fruitcake element has come in, and it really is kind of raisins and sultanas and proper thick, rich, deep fruitcake. Proper Christmas cake. This would be absolutely fantastic after a Christmas dinner, and we're getting to that stage of the year as well. Again with the toffiness, it's almost like a Christmas cake that's had a layer of toffee over the top of it, which would probably be possibly too sickly for some, but for me, I was actually out today at helping my wife with a kids nearly new sale, so selling second-hand baby clothes and everything like that. And somebody they were making handmade cakes, and somebody had made tiffin. Well, they called it tiffin, but it was basically like chocolate and caramel and bits of biscuit and raisins and everything, and it was superb. Whoever made it, I would pay them to make that again. It was rich and decadent but fruity. The caramel was rich and not quite burnt, but there was that kind of slight, almost smoky character to it, and there's elements of this in it. There's kind of a chocolatiness to it as well. It's a decadent whiskey. It really is. There's even a touch of smokiness to it, just the merest hint, which just combines everything into a fantastic package. That is one hell of a dram. That is absolutely brilliant. Now, whether the standard 12-year-old Flora and Fauna Linkwood is anywhere near that, I don't know. If it is, snap it up. But I don't know. I don't know if this is a fair representation, or whether the Boutiqu-ey Whisky Company have picked an absolute corker for them to sell. So it might be worth searching out. It's well worth trying, because if you like, I'm going to say sherry bombs, but also if you like big, rich, fruity bourbons with a bit of a kick to it, if you get the balance right, where if you like something with a bit of heat and a bit of kickback from the alcohol percentage, this will rock your socks off. Yeah, great dram, absolutely brilliant. James, thank you very, very much for that. That is an absolute corker. Right, quick rinse out, and then I'll crack on with one more to finish off the night. Cheers.